All right, everybody, today is Monday, and today's part of the build is we've got everything marked off now for our stem and footings, and next I should say, he's gonna start digging. I just want to show you before he gets here because I don't think he wants to be filmed, and obviously I wouldn't do that to somebody, so I just wanted to show you guys before he gets here what we're doing. So what we'll have here is we'll have a laser set up here. Now this isn't ideal, you want a better stand than this, but I just have a weight here to keep it in place. So it's very important that these don't move, so I have it out of the wind. Then what I'll do is I will zero in on my grade stick here with the receiver on the grade stick back at the corner spot, which is our original spot where we're drawing all of our grade from. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to raise it up 6 inches from when this thing beeps. I'll raise that up 6 inches. And then what will happen is when he's digging the 6-inch trench here around, I'll be able to stick that thing in the ground and it'll tell me that whether he's 6 inches in or not, so he can have a more precise dig. So that's what we're doing now. And then after that, we're gonna start on the footings. So it's a big day for us. So here we are. We just got our foundation started, and obviously I'm happy about that. So basically, today was just one of those days where I didn't really have to work too hard. So the guy had a machine, of course, he brought it over and done a little differently probably than most of this kind of stuff's done. You know, of course, me being out here is everything's done a little differently, so guess that's what's going to keep it interesting. But I mean, it's pretty standard as far as you know, it's a rectangle. And you know, you got your stakes on your corners, you run your lines, you do your Pythagorean theorem, and you figure out the angle, you know, or the distance on the angle here of the triangle, and that's how you keep yourself square. So all that stuff was pretty standard. The actual dig itself is a little different because I'm actually doing more of a pier footings, I guess you'd call them, and they're just basically, each one of these footings is going to be 3 feet in the ground, and it's about 2 foot by 2 foot wide, and there's 6 on this side, 6 on that side. It's a single slope building, so the building will be like this, and this will be our view out here, obviously minus all the stuff here. And so the way it works is between them is actually going to be kind of a stem wall. Now, the way traditionally that I've seen pole barns done is that you'll have your footings and then, or piers, or basically a lot of times these posts will go straight in the ground. Sometimes they don't even put rebar underneath them or anything. They just bury the posts in the ground. So this is done a little bit differently. This is more standard, is like I have columns and they're steel. So they're going to be sitting on top of plates, and then those plates are connected down to cages. So that's pretty standard, the way you do that kind of thing. Each one of those piers or columns those are load bearing. The walls themselves are not load bearing. So even with that, a lot of times what people do is they'll just run boards around the perimeter and then pour their slab in the middle, and they won't put any kind of a stem wall or anything like that. I chose to do that because there's a couple reasons. One of the main reasons for me was that I wanted to connect each one of these footings together, and the way you do that is through having concrete between them with rebar. So the rebar will be connecting each one of these cages together all the way around, so they're all basically one unit, and that kind of keeps things together, you know, for weighing everything down. And so it's just a good idea. And plus, what this does is this actually it also creates a nice little border, so you know, nothing can just get underneath your slab. You know, if you just pour the slab and it's only 4-inch slab, there's nothing underneath there. You know, it's just anything can get under there. You know, mice, rats, whatever can dig underneath it, and you know, you can have cracks in your slab really easily, actually. So so it adds like kind of a layer of protection. It's just overall a good idea, and it costs more, but I can't even go into all the reasons, but there's more than that. So it was a pretty easy decision for me. I said, yeah, you should probably do that. So we're gonna do that. It's basically next now what I'm going to be doing as I walk around here is I'm going to be going through with the shovel and a jackhammer, and I'll explain why. When you're in Arizona, the dirt, and specifically in the desert, the dirt out here is very hard. And so this hard dirt it's difficult to dig in even with the machine here. So some of this specific style of building, because of the type of footings these are, if you picture a backhoe, it's hard to dig these out, nice and square, so you got to come in with the shovel anyways and kind of square these off. So I'm going to be having a shovel as well as having there comes a train again. I swear, every time I go to make a video. Okay, it looks like it's going over there. So anyways, so what'll happen is you'll have, you'll dig it out as best you can, and then you got to go back in with the shovel here and actually try to shape everything and make it square or round. If you're round, you could use an auger, but even an auger can be difficult out here, because what happens out here is we hit like these veins of caliche, and caliche is a lot like concrete, and it's very difficult to dig through. So what we have here is we have very hard ground, and that's a good thing for buildings as far as they sit on this hard ground. So the foundations out here are kind of easy to do compared to other places, because we don't have some of those problems that sinking into the ground and that kind of thing. So for us, you might see me doing things that you'd be like living in another place where it's really wet, like a swamp area or like Florida or something. You'd be like, what the hell is this guy doing? You got to remember where we live. Okay, look at all the rocks that we just pulled out of the ground here. I mean, this is hard ass ground. Okay, so man, you could basically set something just on it without even having a foundation, and it would probably be fine. I'm not even kidding. So the reality of it is sometimes it's overkill out here to do so much concrete, because it's we don't have the same issues. We just don't. We have other issues. We have a lot of wind out here. That's a big deal. So that's the main reason for these concrete footings is wind. We have to have basically heavy anchors to anchor things down, because we get winds come through here every day, and they're 25, 30 miles an hour, pretty regularly, and they'll get even higher than that. So we got a lot of wind pushing on our buildings. So that's the thing. So anyways, interconnecting everything together that way, act as one unit, tying it together with lots of rebar. Rebar, you can't go wrong. Just, the more rebar, the better, because all that does is that just makes your building that much stronger. You have more tensile strength. So I'll be using lots of rebar. Anyways, so basically what I did was I stood out here with a laser level, and what I was doing was, while he was digging, I would just have this laser level. I had my laser set up over here, and then I had the transmitter on the grade stick, and I was just going around here making sure that he was digging, within 6 inches, because this is only 6 inches down. It's not even 6 inches over here, but different spots are weird. That's another thing, because this isn't completely level, by the way. We ran out of fill dirt when we was doing this pad here, so that's why there's dirt in the middle here, because I'm actually gonna be trying to level this out before I have to bring gravel in. So doing a level before a level, so basically trying to fill in some of these low spots with some of the excess dirt here from the footings and stuff. Tamp that down, and then we're going to have gravel brought in, of course, and then that makes it easier to level it out, so you're not pouring concrete on ground that's not somewhat level. So we're going to have concrete or gravel on the inside of the stem wall and these footings. So a lot to do, as you can hear. So there's just a lot going on here. It's not just as simple as just pouring concrete in the ground. We got to do our batten boards on the corner here to set up our footings, square everything off, make sure this is where the precision is going to matter more, because we want to make sure that we are damn close to as exact as possible on that, because that's where it all starts. So the building has to be square. I mean, that's just something that's a known factor, that everybody knows that. This is where it all begins. So if it does not get squared up initially, then we're going to have problems. everything's going to be off. So this is the part where we got to spend more time on it and make sure it's done right. I don't care how many days it takes. So something like this, I take my time. I'm not going to mess around with trying to rush it or trying to save money, save a few bucks on rebar and stuff like that. You don't do that on this type of thing. This is the part where you're like, more rebar, the better. Like I said, that's my motto with these things. Just the more steel you can put in the ground with this concrete, the better it's going to be. Less cracking, less issues. Expansion joints are also going to be put in here. I'll be having expansion joints here where these footings are going to meet this slab. I'm not going to pour the cold slab on these joints because I'm doing 2 separate pours. Okay. Now the problem is that when you do this pour here, you're going to have joints now, and then if you don't put an expansion joint on them, you have more likeliness of it cracking. At least that's what I've read on the internet and talking to people. So be putting expansion joints in here. So there's a lot of little things, but super happy that this is done. I cannot tell you, this is like a long time coming. You've been following me from the beginning. You know that I've been waiting a long time for this. So I've put my time in out here. Living off grid for about 2 years, man. I have put my time in. So I am ready for this. And so here we are, standing back here. This is where our house is going to be. And also this is where our septic is. And septic, I got this booby trap stuff over here. I'm going to be moving all this stuff. In fact, I might just do this tomorrow. I'm going to clear all this off. And I got to start planning where the line's going to be from the septic. The septic's basically the line runs straight here. Those are our 2 bathrooms back here. So that's where the main sewage pipe's going to be from back there. So I got to start doing that planning. We're going to have a carport back here. And on top of the carport, just all solar panels. And those solar panels are going to be what are going to be powering our house. So there's going to be a power line, basically a line that runs from there into the back utility room, and then that utility room that's where all the magic happens, where all that energy gets converted into actual electricity. So the house will be ran that way. We'll have a backup generator that will probably a diesel one that will kick on if we ever run out of energy with that. Eventually the plan is down the road I'd like to have a couple wind turbines here, but we'll see what happens. But basically what happens is when we get a lot of clouds here in Arizona, that means there's wind almost always. So there's a correlation there. So when there's not a lot of sun hitting my solar panels, then I'm going to have wind. So if there's wind, that will help, charge the batteries. And also at nighttime, you're not limited. So if there's wind at night, you can still be charging your batteries. So I think it's a good idea for the redundancy, but it really becomes a math problem, because what you got to do is you got to figure out, a lot of people's philosophy is, well, just get more panels. If you want more to catch more sun, you get more panels. Now that sounds great on the surface, but if you've done solar like I have, you start to understand that it's really not that simple. Yeah, you get more panels, but what ends up happening is you also have to get more inverters or a bigger inverter. Then you need more fuses. You need things to make sure that you can handle that incoming power. So it's not as simple as just buy more panels. You need a bigger inverter. So that costs more money. So it's not a simple fix there. So anyways, water-wise, we're going to we have our cistern over here right now. We might keep that one there. I don't know yet. Might keep that one there, and then we might, because we're going to need multiple cisterns out here anyways. Generally speaking, I want one next to the house that it's going to be buried. So if we don't keep that one there, that one's going to be buried close by. And then, although just the way that one's made, it's just not ideal. I don't know yet. It's plastic, it's poly. So I want a cistern buried back here. Our rain collection, since our roof is a single slope, it's done by design, is going to basically drain right into some type of water catchment setup over here. And then we'll have to filter that water, and that's going to help give us some water for our house. It's not going to be enough, but for the roof, just that one collection area. So we're going to have multiple collections. But anyhow, yeah, that's the plan. So you can kind of see where now it's all starting to come together as far as how it's going to work. Where are we getting our power from? Where's our water going to come from? How are you going to run your water lines in the house? So basically from there, it'll be a single water line. So this is how I plan on doing the water. The water, we're going to have our main cistern here, okay? As far as, are we going to have water hauled? Are we going to have different interconnected cisterns here that from different water catchment areas? That's just going to take time. That's not something that immediately has to happen, but we'll at least have a main cistern here. And then from there, I have a main line that comes in. And the way we're doing it, well, my wife doesn't even know this yet, but the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to have basically a line that feeds into a manifold. And that manifold, it'd be like probably a PEX manifold. That manifold will have lines that go directly to where the water is needed. I'm going to try to eliminate fittings, shark bites, and all that crap as much as possible, because the more of those you have, the more points you have of failure. So it's really simple. Like if you got to have all these connections and all these fittings and all these, L's and T's and all this, it becomes, well, where's the leak coming from? It could be from anything. So you don't want to set that up in your house. I learned that already. So what I'm going to be doing is having a main manifold, and then from that manifold, I'm probably going to have the lines going under the concrete, but I'll have kind of like raceways, so I'll be able to fix lines if I need to. It's if you just set it up right from the beginning, it's really going to be painless. So that way, if there's ever a problem, I'll be able to shut off exactly where the water problem is. Or if I need to change a shower head or something like that, I don't have to shut off the water for the whole house. I just shut off that valve. So that's the simplicity of the water setup we're going to have. Solar, I've already done it, but I got to just add on to what I already have. I already have a power cart. That'll be a little easier for me because I've already taken care of solar out here, so I just have to add to the system. But yeah, other than that, then it's the rest of it's. We got our steel coming. We have we've been kind of shopping at a few different places for the steel siding and the steel roof to figure out exactly where we're going to get that from. We have 4 different places actually we're looking at. Got quotes back today. Getting samples sent in the mail from one place. I think we're going to be going with a horizontal corrugated on the siding, and then on the top we're probably just going to do the normal R panels, the PBR panels, I think they're called. But I'm putting a rubberized coating on the roof, so it's not as vital to me on the paint on that, because it's going to be white rubber coating anyways. Those rubberized coatings were great. I'm 100% sold on them because of the 2 buildings over there. I've used them and they work wonderfully. So I'm going to be putting a rubberized coating on the roof. The siding, we're kind of going with like a stone gray, like a slate looking color. It's going to be kind of neat. We're going to have probably dark trim, like black, maybe even trim on the house. And so it's going to have like this kind of a grayish white, and the roof will be white. And then we're going to have, pretty simple design. The porch will be here. There's a porch here. There's going to be a porch right there. So it'll be, a wraparound porch, about 90 feet of porch. That's where a lot of our roofing materials going, actually. But yeah, we're going to have a wraparound porch, mainly, obviously, because we like porches, but we also want to try to keep the sun off the siding as much as possible. So that rubberized coating on top of that roof, that wraparound porch, will protect the siding a lot. So only the east part of the building and the south part of the building are going to be getting as much sun. However, in the wintertime, when it's cold, the sun's further south in the skyline, we actually want the sun on the building. So, that's how you got to plan it out. So it's really pretty simple as far as planning that out. We're going to have a radiant barrier all around the whole house. We'll have a radiant barrier, a rubberized coating. And then that stack over here, what's in there is actually 3-inch closed cell foam paneling. And they're all like 4 foot by 8 foot panels. I got those off of an old store that they were taking them all out. So they're used panels, but I'm able to inspect all of them. I got a U-Haul and picked up all these, spent a couple $1,000 on it, but man, it's saving me thousands on this stuff. So most of our insulation needs are going to be met with that. And then that ugly pile right there, that's actually sandbags. And I've already built with sandbags, but I'm going to be using sandbags mostly for the outer stuff, like the wall around your house, the entryway, maybe coming into one of the porches, maybe put a little wrap around for a garden. We don't even know yet. We're actually going to use some of these on the interior walls because we want some curvature inside. So they'll have their place. You know, obviously we're not using it for our main part of our build, but we're still going to use them nonetheless. So that's kind of the wrap up, folks, as far as what the house is going to be like. I just, obviously I'm in a decent mood right now because I finally have gotten this started. You know, I know it just looks like a bunch of dug out dirt right now, but it definitely matters. It means that we've officially gotten this show going now. So, so yeah, next step is I got to clean out all this dirt. I'm going to be in these trenches digging with a jackhammer because I have a little jackhammer here to kill some of this caliche here and get these about 3 foot in the ground and get these suckers 3 foot deep. And then we'll be starting to set up our formwork for the first pour of concrete. And then once that concrete is poured, the columns go up. And then once the columns go up, then the trusses go up. And then once the trusses go up, the purlins go. And once the purlins go, then the roof goes. And then once that, you know how it goes. So yeah, it's like I can kind of see light at the end of the tunnel. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you guys our beautiful Arizona sunset. And that's going to be a nice view that we're going to have. All this stuff obviously won't be here one day. But for now, that's the view. Talk to you guys soon.